when those saints go marching in. Oh, when those saints go marching in.
Hi there, I'm Paul Colby, and if you don't recognize me, it's not my fault. I've been putting myself out there for a long time on television and online. For more than a decade, I hosted Paul Colby on Public Affairs, a show which was groundbreaking, maybe even trailblazing. We were dealing with fake news before it was even a thing. A few years ago, the show morphed into Paul Colby and the Investigators when I took some of my investigators into the studio with me so that they could give forth live. And boy, did they give forth. A third incarnation of the show last year, 2024, was Witch Hunt with Paul Colby and the Investigators. I bet some of you saw it, and I'll bet you're wondering, what have those guys been up to? Well, let me tell you. We sort of took some time off to do some sensitive work. And we're back. We're back, and I want to show you some things from the past by way of previewing what you're likely to see from us in 2025. So buckle up your seat belts and let's get after it. First investigator you need to hear from and about, Jack Pott. Jack is very well known in some quarters. He is a recognized authority on sperm migration in Western Europe.
That's true, boss. I actually got interested in that because sadly my boys don't migrate very far, so I wanted to study possible ways of improving my migration patterns, and so I focused on Western Europe.
Yeah, how is that coming? Or however you reacted.
Sadly, I have not seen much improvement.
How many safe uses of nitrogen in children are there anyway?
11.
Could you be more specific?
No.
Your center is located there in the Hardley Everglades. I think that's in Van Motor County in Florida, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just parachute in right off the dock.
Okay, and your center is famous. You are considered a pioneer of chili receptions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that has something to do with the flora and fauna in the area?
Yeah, you just, you scoop it out and when you cook it up and whew, you never know.
You never know what's in that chili.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the kitchen's right next to the bathroom.
She is the founder of the Children's Crusade for Puberty, an honorary chair of the Southern Ornithology Refrigeration Advisory Group, and she has been a mandolin player in the French-Swiss band Wanda's Headache. She also has a bestseller. It's called Designing the Patio of Your Dreams as Extremists Question Your Integrity. May, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. Other people have told me that you don't actually have a patio yourself.
I don't have a patio, but they question me anyway, so I figure I have authority to offer advice.
I bet you do. You have a very popular book, and it's very timely for these times in which we live. It's Tips for Enjoying the Orwellian Era.
Yeah. So Georgie, he was sort of a fastidious guy. He had his own line of clothes detergent. So, I mean, I can tell you're not a fan of the laundromat there.
Not
boss.
anymore.
But so we should also be so lucky as to experience the fresh smell of totalitarianism in the morning.
I am really excited. I've already got a subscription to your new seminar on vulgarity.
Yeah, well, and I'll give you the background on that, boss. As you know, I grew up in New England as a New England sports fan, so I have a prolific vulgarity vocabulary. So I'm again, that one's proving much easier to monetize.
Oh, and you do alienate a lot of your clients with some of your vulgar.
Well, if my clients can't take it, then the heck with them.
Right now, you're narrating a film. I can hardly wait to see this. It's about luxury phone booths in Utah's sausage capital. I'm not sure where that is, but I'm looking forward. I know when you narrate a film, it's because you have something to add.
Oh, certainly. We attempted to get Richard Linklater. However, our budget was $10.79, and he said he could not do the film for $10.79. And so this was a labor of love for me.
I already bought the VHS version. You were a golf instructor, I understand.
Correct. I prefer the term golf mentor. But
Golf mentor, okay. And you work with some famous people. For example, Harry Potter.
Yeah, he was a difficult client because he really wouldn't listen to what I was trying to tell him, and every time he'd make a mistake, he'd just say, "Well, that's par for the curse."
And what about Tiger Euphrates? I guess he came to you
Again,
pretty late in his career.
He was definitely in denial about the end of his career.
And there was Sandy Trapp also.
Yeah. Again, I'm sensing a pattern. He came to me late in his career as well, but he was really more focused on his work with his new career with the Sandy Trapp Singers.
And he has recently completed a walking tour of some of the lesser-known asteroids in New Jersey. That is mentioned in great detail in his new book, The Search for Meaning in Parts of New Jersey and the Bahamas. I look at this picture all the time. I don't see the oyster faces in it.
Well, you will.
Frank is America's foremost authority on furniture choices as an indicator of antisocial behavior. You've written a book on surviving a smear campaign from the shrimp industry, and I guess a whole lot of people have that problem these days.
Well, when you go to a museum, when you go to a zoo, and you've got the primate paddock over here, and you've got the crustacean paddock on the other side, and they actually rise up and merge to form this thing that attacks you when you're on a date. This is something that's part of my memoir that I put out there for everyone. Make sure this never happens to you. You've got a girl with you, you got the 57 vet. Do not allow crustaceans and primates to go and throw their crap on you.
And you've been a lobbyist for a lot of years, for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy working in lobbies. I don't know if you've ever been into an office building, but it's the only nice part of the building. So I just kind of stuck with working there.
You are the subject of a film. It's Horace Nitro's new film, I Left My Heart in Laguna del Rey. But if I get this, I've heard this, maybe you can confirm it. You also left your esophagus in Culver City, and you left your spleen in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, that's true, and I didn't realize that until I returned to Kentucky, and I also left another vital body part in I won't go into details. It was in Clark County outside Las Vegas.
Well, first of all, most of you know Pete Best was the drummer for the Beatles before Ringo Starr was the drummer for the Beatles. But even before Pete Best, there were other drummers. One of them is famous as one of the main figures in the Cold War. That's Fidel Castro. And I suppose that you didn't know Fidel started out not just running a revolution in Havana, Cuba, but actually drumming with the Beatles. Somewhere along the line, they got a break, and that was to play as third fiddle, certainly not opening the show, but playing at a place called Hardy's Dumpster. It's kind of legendary in the rock world.
at Hardy's Dumpster, the head of the bill was Marvin Pod and the Mystery Beavers. And you may have forgotten about them, but one time they were top of the heap. As I got to tell you something here. Even before they backed up, Marvin, I got to tell you, there were rumors going around about other personnel in the Beatles, which is basically how they got this job. Now, you probably have heard, if you've read a bunch of history about the Beatles, you probably heard the tale that Jimmy Hoffa was also in the group at some point. And it is true, Jimmy Hoffa wrote a book, Don't Bury Me Until I'm Actually Dead, and in that book he says that he used to work as 1/4 of a famous pop foursome, but it wasn't the Beatles. It was Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Hoffa at that time. And then later, after he left, he would be replaced by Neil Young. But he did get the Beatles on the ticket there with Marvin. And Marvin Pod, if I can just digress here for a minute, was long rumored to be the grandson of Frank Sinatra by somebody. Sally Forth is an outreach officer of the increasingly obvious Republican music concert promoters. She's a research fellow for the Go Fund Someone Else Big Telescope Planning Commission, and she's been a chief apologist for the Mental Illness as a Chosen Paradigm tax avoidance group. And I understand, I have to get this clarified. Let me go to this first. You're supposedly the discoverer of the fire extinguisher and the raincoat. How would your biographers have figured that out?
Back in the 1890s, this was a past life experience that I was involved with, where I was trying to put out a fire. And it was not going well. But the rain came. The rain came and it put out the fire. And so I had prayed to God, and the rain came. Now it soaked my culottes, and I said to myself, well, there's got to be a better way. And so there came the idea, the raincoat and the fire extinguisher at the same time.
Well, I'll be dadgum. You're talking about secrets that you learned in prison, and I guess that has something to do with the floor in the. Well, just tell me what is the biggest secret you learned from prison?
Clenching. Good defense is a good offense.
Right. Okay. I am curious. You have a 250-acre farm for squirrels, but that sounds pretty large for a squirrel population.
Well, boss, I actually have both beaver and squirrels. It's about 75% beaver, 25% squirrels. But because Petaluma is so close to the Diablo Canyon nuclear plant, they're actually mutated squirrels and mutated beavers from all the radiation exposures. So the squirrels are actually 80 pounds roughly a piece. And the beavers, interestingly enough, are normal size, but they're just very angry beavers.
They get along, I guess.
Well, they have a truce.
I have been wondering, for a guy who has so many opinions about so many things, I understand you don't get out of the house all that much, but I could swear I have seen either pictures or video of you somewhere near the nation's capital in fairly recent times. Do I have that right?
Well, my network of basement warriors and we do believe in keeping it real when it comes to the government of this nation. So we want to make sure that we are prepared for any time that there is an opportunity to lay siege to those who oppress us.
You're not naming names when you say that. I guess you're just...
No, I can name handles for you. It's Lancelot and Fuzzy Bear are my two main ride or die caballos.
Why would I want to have a periodic table? I mean, how is it different from, you know, some retro table from the 50s or 60s?
Well, while those are very aesthetically lovely, I found that the periodic table had a lot more features than your traditional analog table. For instance, it lights up, it plays music, it cleans up the crumbs. It can even, if you upgrade to the periodic table max, it will do the dishes for you as well.
This poultry specimen quick identification protocol, is it something that all of us amateurs can learn to use, or is it very sensitive?
It's fairly complicated, and it involves not only my expertise with dead celebrities, with dead politicians. I have expertise with dead celebrities. So as part of developing this system, we made an amazing accidental discovery that follicles from the late great Shecky Greene make an excellent immune system booster. So we're looking forward to patent that.
I was in the audience one time when you said that incessant howling can sometimes be very attractive.
Indeed, yes, it's quite the mating ritual. I find that when I have an audience of people watching my friends and me with our experimental projectile projects, in fact, dodge bowling is really our favorite pastime. Every time you miss and one lands in the audience, that's the miss for you. That's how I met my wife.
Every time I have watched somebody speak after a football game, they say, you know, God was with me down there on the field.
Yeah, you know what, boss? I actually coined that phrase. We got to talk about God, we got to talk about Jesus. I did not realize until I took a correspondence course in theology that Jesus was that into football.
Anyway, your book on lifestyle changes has influenced more people than I can count. I mean, because you jump-started a lot of these lifestyle changes. I forget what they are, but they're pervasive, right?
It's peeing before you brush in the morning.
Okay. Gymnasium is here again tonight. He is the interim chief spokesperson for the Department of Ancient Mysteries at the Consumer Prevention Laboratory, whatever that is, in Lathrop, Pennsylvania. And he is the former editor of the quarterly journal Firearms for Small Mammals, something I used to read religiously. Now, you've moved up in the world. You told me, Jim, you were never going to work for peanuts again. So I assume you're working for, what, cashews or?
Almonds, actually.
Almonds.
Almonds.
Another, je ne sais quoi.
Yeah.
Are you with me?
Yeah, hang on 1 second. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You are going to email me that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That
sure.
picture. Okay. Jenna, am I saying that right? Je ne sais quoi. How do you?
It's actually Sequoia. I am 1/16 Cherokee, and so it's, you know, we never were really sure if it was a family name, but I like it.
You spent 20 years in a hot. I guess you didn't plan to be up there for 20.
Well, no, I didn't. I mean, my parents, I was actually born in the hot air balloon. My parents were very wealthy investors, and they decided they wanted to travel the world, and they weren't able to figure out how to get the balloon down, though. So I was actually born and homeschooled in the balloon for 20 years.
You've written about restoring fish monuments for fun and profits, and my offspring, my relateds, have set up little hobby shops of their own to restore fish monuments.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a booming trend in the, I believe under one of the stimulus packages, there's going to be funds for restoring fish monuments throughout the country.
There's not that many left, I would think.
There's surprisingly more than you think, but they're in a state of disrepair, so I think it's important as part of the infrastructure repair that we repair our fish monuments.
Right now, you're serving as an anecdote director of the Museum of Crab Pictures, right?
Yes. Have you ever seen a crab smile?
No, not lately. I guess.
That's why we're doing the research.
Okay. You're a developer
online autopsies for vegetarians. I've looked at that site. It confuses me, actually.
Confuses you.
Yeah, yes, sir.
We are trying to eliminate the death of various vegetables. I think you should take it very seriously. An artichoke, the moment of death when you have achieved artichokedom, this is something that cannot be overlooked by
Right.
people who take their vegetarianism seriously.
You have a book. It's interesting to me. They call you Dr. Lukewarm. I didn't know you were a doctor.
Yes. Well, I'm a doctor on TV.
You're a spokesman for the backseat drivers of Southern California's guerrilla breathing initiative. I've been guerrilla breathing for a number of years now, but I guess most people are new to that.
Yeah, you have to introduce, I find it's easier to teach them if you start them with a snorkel and a mask, and that can phase right into the guerrilla breathing techniques. I'm very proud of my innovation there.
I'm proud to even know about it. This is the kind of book that goes where nobody has gone before. We've talked a lot about Donald Trump and, you know, what he does and what he's all about, but nobody has. Excuse me?
This is what's a bit unfortunate. I'm so sorry to interrupt, boss, but I had written a book called The Erratic Behavior of Donald Trump, and there was a typo, the never ever use a cut rate copy editor. And by the time I discovered the problem, we had printed 4 million copies.
I understand you have a new book and you're thinking of maybe a documentary. It's called God's Fear of Enchiladas, and some of what's in that book was pretty startling to me. I mean, I didn't know that God was afraid of any of the popular foods.
All I can say is you got to read the book to learn what it's like going cheek to cheek with your Heavenly Father.
Can you show the people that the most popular thing on your menu these days is the back-end redfish? That's very distinctive. I don't know of anybody else that serves it.
Yeah, it's an interesting story again, boss. Again, we didn't have much money growing up, and my mom, God bless her soul, would cook us redfish, but she would always discard the back end of the redfish, as is customary. And so one day I was left outside, as I usually was, for most of the night with no food. So when they threw some of the back ends out, I had some spare sewing machine oil and a little sterno furnace. So I actually fried up the back end of the redfish in the sewing machine oil and added a little bit of seasoning. It's delicious, so it's our specialty.
Well, and before that, you still serve the wonton killers. That used to be your main attraction. I think the restaurant had a different name at the time.
Yeah, it was the, what was that? The MSG spot, that was it.
Elaine is the inventor of the cordless bathrobe and the multilingual dishwasher. And so for that reason, I thank her practically every day. I mean, I've got a cordless bathrobe. I haven't had to plug in for years. She was a costume designer for the very successful Broadway musical Crot Pots and Bowling Shoes. If I can just move fast forward here, you're the moderator of the acclaimed program Terrible News with Stu Pendas. Now, most of the news that I see these days or read or hear is pretty terrible. So I don't watch yours. I'm afraid I would be frightened.
I think so. I think you should understand, all of you out there, I ask the tough questions. For example, you ever think that on the one hand, the end result of entropic dissipation of energy across the universe will lead to complete disruption of enthalpy and the end of all recognizable things? And on the other hand,
I've got a bowling entropy at home. Does that count?
I think so. Just,
Okay.
use your handicap, the natural one you always bring.
He is a proponent of the theology of dread, and that's been true since about 1986.
He is also a produce section location consultant for the Some Call It Food grocery chain. That operates in Alaska and Hawaii. That's why you haven't seen any of them around here. You wrote a book that is relatively popular. Please don't take a picture of my breakfast. I read some of it. I mean, it kind of moves along slowly. By the third chapter, I guess I had put it down already, but does anything happen later in the book that we'd want to go back and read?
Well, see, I deliberately kept the pace slow because breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and I choose to take my time with it.
I have with me tonight Hanky Panky. Hank is a seasoned veteran when it comes to reporting on the undercurrents in the news. He's a method acting director of the Center for the Study of Ordinary Events at the East Western College of Hidden Biology in Scottsdale, Arizona. I think I know where that is. It's near the golf courses. Anyway, his new book, Love in the Time of Collusion, is upsetting monarchies and crime syndicates across the world these days. And Hank, before we get started here, I just wanted to ask you about these ordinary events that you used to teach and study. These days, we don't have many ordinary events. I wonder how that affects your work.
I would summarize it just by suggesting that I find things at the center really energize my lifestyle, of living on the edge, living ordinary, but extra.
I'm looking at a picture of it now. Your annual report has a picture. The Citizens Commission on Accommodation Stations, and these stations look like giant tubes. I guess an ordinary sized person could stand up and walk around in one, but
Yeah, well, I got that idea when I was in London for Queen Elizabeth's birth. I was actually, little known fact, I assisted the midwife, but I was fascinated by the London Tube, the very idea of the London Tube, and you could get around underneath. And so what I've done is I've built these tubes under cities now, so if citizens don't wish to get out in the humid, polluted air, they can just walk their dog through the tube and the whole 9 yards. So we every once in a while we have what we call an accommodation station within the tubes.
as a matter of fact, you're lecturing right now, I believe, on dating habits in the mineral kingdom. Look at this slide here. I attended this lecture the other night. I learned things I didn't think I wanted to know.
Let's see, the Loch Ness Monster is what, 1,000 years old? And
At least.
you don't have that kind of lifespan without, having something to eat. And I know a lot of, there have been so many sightings over the years, and it turns out it's because he, I don't want to misgender the Loch
Nessie,
Ness Monster, Nessie, has a penchant for sailors, which I can completely understand.
Okay.
Oh, when those snakes go mounting in, oh, when those snakes